Hello everyone. My name is I'm Justin Tuguna. I am the communications branding and marketing lead here at TechKids Africa. And today we are hosting a panel of esteemed guests, and we will be discussing a lot uh, about online safety and February being the Online Safety and Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We are having these panel discussions, and today's topic majorly is about privacy in the age of AI. And I want to give you a very simple scenario. Imagine that maybe you're scrolling through your social media and an ad pops up for a product you're just talking about with a friend. And this is something that has happened to us for, regularly. It's not something you've ever tried, it's not something you have said, but you're just talking with your friend about it, and then the ad pops up. So this is just but a small example of how AI is changing the landscape of privacy. Um, we're told that AI is making our lives easier, more convenient, and sometimes even better. But the real question we should be asking is, at what cost? Does it mean that we are sacrificing our privacy for the sake of convenience? And in this new day and age of artificial intelligence, our data is the new gold, and everyone seems to want a piece of it. But who is protecting us? Remember when privacy was something we took for granted, those back in the day when our personal information felt safe and secure. And like right now, every time, every click, every search, every interaction online leaves a digital footprint. And since artificial intelligence learns from human intelligence, we are constantly feeding our artificial intelligence technologies, and it is growing and evolving at a very high and unprecedented pace. And the lines between convenience and surveillance are continuously blurring. So, this being our Online Safety Month webinar, and as I remind you, the topic is privacy on the age of AI. Today, we'll be diving deep and having this conversation. We'll be asking the tough questions and we'll be seeking the real solutions. We will be exploring the growing concerns surrounding data privacy and in a world that is increasingly driven by artificial intelligence, and that runs from social media to our homes, and truly AI is everywhere. And it raises crucial questions about data security. And is our data safe? And do you feel like AI can take control of your device? And are we truly, really private online? So today we have brought together a panel of leading experts to guide us through this complex, conversation. We're honored to have with us today Nancy Miner, founder of Women in Sustainable STEM Africa, abbreviation for WISA, bringing her perspective on women in STEM and the unique challenges that women in STEM and technology face in Africa. We have Philip Cairo from Close the Gap Kenya, offering insights into bridging the digital divide and also, you know, bridging the digital divide through industry-based connections. And we are having also on our panel Peter Bushnell, who is the National Chair ICT Champion uh, who is in contact with the Teacher Service Commission, and he will be discussing the crucial role of education in shaping a privacy-conscious generation. And lastly, in our panel today, we have Felix Ojambo, who is the founder and CEO of Yetu Consulting, and he'll be sharing his expertise and the perspective of business practices and building trust in the age of AI. So over the next 2 hours, we'll be discussing the various ways in which AI systems collect and use our data, the potential risks to individual privacy, and most importantly, the steps that we can take to protect ourselves online. We encourage you to participate, drop in the comments, drop in the questions, participate fully in the discussion, ask your questions in the chat, in the comments, and let us have a conversation around this and the future of privacy in the age of AI. And finally, let me just welcome everyone to the stream. I don't know who should we start with. Nancy, maybe Nancy, you can. introduce yourself, and then Philip, and then Felix as you wait for Bushnell to join in.
Hello, I hope you can hear me. So thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this discussion. As you've said, my name is Nancy Maina. I'm the founder of Women in Sustainable STEM Africa, where we're bridging the bridge between, or rather the gap between the representation of young girls in the communities and technology, so bringing them into tech and STEM in general to be able to use technology as a tool to create sustainable solutions for their local existing challenges. And in line with this, it goes hand in hand with privacy, and there is the topic of the day: privacy in the age of AI. So glad to be here, and hopefully we're going to be having interesting conversations. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Philip, you're up next.
Hi everyone, my name is Philip Cairo. I work with Close the Gap Kenya, which is a hardware accelerator working towards bridging the digital divide and providing access to digital tools to better one's future. So I'm honored to be part of this conversation and looking forward to sharing insights with the rest of the panel and also providing an informative session. Thank you.
Yes, Felix, you're up next.
All right, thank you. My name is Felix Odhiambo, founder of Yetu Consulting, which is an integrated business consulting and marketing agency dedicated to providing strategic solutions that enhance and protect businesses. So thank you for having me in this particular platform.
Yes, thank you so much. Next up is Bushnell. I don't know if you have sorted your mic.
Yeah, thank you very much. I had a small hiccup, which I have overcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Bushnell Peter. Bushnell is an educator with the Teachers Service Commission, and the issue of AI is something that is at the heart of the commission. So I'm looking forward to interacting with you in this fruitful discussion and see how we can embrace AI in this digital age in the 21st century. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. I think let me put all of our panelists on the stage. And yeah, we'll just start right ahead. I'll just start with Philip. Possibly you give us um, some insights on some of the things that many people usually confuse data security, and that means breaching or preventing breaches with data privacy. How does AI impact both? And where do we see the biggest risks today in terms of people having the confusion between what is data security and what is data privacy, and how does AI impact both?
Yes, so first, I think I'll just start with the definitions. I always like to go from the foundation. So from a definition point of view, I'd say data security mainly focuses on preventing breaches. So basically, you're working towards protecting the information you have or the data you currently have, while data privacy deals with more about governing how you collect information and how the information you collect is put into use. So I'd say there's quite a thin line between data security and data privacy. But just to touch on how AI is impacting this, so you have AI. The definition of AI now also comes in artificial intelligence. You have an intelligent agent working, say, at a higher rate as compared to a human. So you have these agents consuming data, then churning out, let's say, knowledge from this data it collects. What happens when you have such a scenario? Security risks are also amplified. So now we are seeing the rise of AI-driven cyber attacks. Say, for example, if it used to take a normal human being, say, a few hours to crack into some software or website, it would take significantly less time for a machine to do the same kind of tasks. So you find, well, mostly in the first world countries, they're now seeing a big rise in such crimes. You see an AI agent able to hack into a website, for example. You see some agents also being able to retrieve data. Some also going to the extent of making deepfake voice scams and ransomware, which are automated. So you have all these security risks happening at an elevated level, and it becomes very hard for security actors to mitigate against such attacks. You're also seeing privacy risks with the misuse of data. A while ago, there was a lawsuit against OpenAI for scraping Kenyan news articles and personal data. You also find unethical means of training data. So yeah, because you see a lot comes into play with making the perfect AI. So at times I think lines are blurred and people end up doing some not so ethical things just in order to train your model in the best way possible. Other risks involved unauthorized data harvesting for AI training and the transparency in how these algorithms process personal information. So lately, nearly every website you visit will ask you for some bit of your personal information. Of course, you have to sign in somewhere. You have to give them your full name. You have to give your contact information. But at the end of the day, you ask yourself where all this information is going to, and whether the people you're trusting with your information are actually taking good care of it, how they get to use it. There's a lot of instances where people say the phones are listening to them or the TVs are listening to them, which is actually a feature most people enable unknowingly. When you're setting up your phone, for example, it asks whether you'd be willing to opt into some marketing broadcast thingies, and most people just accept because you're just ticking all the boxes just to get your phone working, for example, or your laptop working. So at the end of the day, you have companies harvesting your data without your, well, with your knowledge, but without your proper consent. Then you have them using this data to train the models to come up with a solution, for example. But the unethical way of collecting this information is what brings the biggest concern in this day and age. I'd say. I don't know if I can add anything else. Maybe Justin chip in.
Okay, thank you so much for that detailed introduction, Philip. We discussed quite extensively what is AI, and you've broken it down to at least um, how it works and some of the privacy concerns. You've given an example of how OpenAI was caught in the hot soup by, selling or having user data of Kenyan users shared online. So again, the next person I want to ask. Let's head over to Felix. Felix, in your expertise or in your experience, we do understand that AI, is AI learns from data, and from you, does this dependency, like AI depending on user data, does it create opportunities, or these opportunities that it creates for machine learning and also for AI to, co-depend on the user data, does it, pose privacy challenges? For example, Philip has talked about a way in which data is mined, especially user data is mined for the AIs to create to be so perfect to do their tasks. Do you feel like in the machine learning processes or in your experience, this dependency of AI and human data, does it pose privacy challenges?
Thank you very much, Yasin. The fact is that AI depends on data, and that is what informs its intelligence. And when it depends on data, and this data is mined from personal information of people and all that, it means it poses both privacy challenges and also create opportunities. So if we look into that, by having the fact that AI reliance on data has both positive and negative things that comes with it, we look into first maybe opportunities that we see through that. And number one would say innovation and personalization. And how does that come about? So the fact that AI thrives on data to deliver groundbreaking innovations, and from personalizations, and that we find things like personalizations of healthcare that is tailored specifically to meet the need of the targeted people or audience or whatever that group of people are. And I can give an example, like we have AI-powered recommendations on systems like Netflix, Spotify, where we analyze, or the AI organization, the tools analyzes behaviors, user behaviors, and they provide highly personalized experience that enhances convenience and satisfaction. So that is one of the opportunities that we find when we speak about AI dependency on data. Number two, we speak of efficiency and automation, and this comes about by the fact that data enables AI to automate complex tasks, just as was mentioned by Philip, and such as fraud detection system in banks, and we also have predictive maintenance in manufacturing. And this not only saves time but resources, and also improves accuracy in decision making in most organizations currently in the world. Number three, we have advancement in critical fields, and in this we can point specifically to one of the fields like health sector. So AI analyzes vast data sets to identify disease patterns and predict outbreaks and even assist in drug discoveries. And in similar situations, also in climate science, we have AI used in processing environmental data to model climate change and propose mitigation strategies that is currently used in the world to solve most of big problems that happen. And then last opportunity that I can speak of in regards to AI is economic growth. And that is the fact that the data-driven AI economy has created new industries, jobs, and business models, fostering global economic growth and competitiveness. And I think, currently there is a lot of AI coming up, and people are doing jobs remotely in their houses. We don't have to step into an office because we have the screen keyboard stroke counts, or we have screen monitoring and all that. So AI has enabled a lot of growth of jobs in the economy today. That is some of the positive things that we can count on to say that AI has brought with it. So let's look into the privacy challenges, or the challenges that comes with it also. And number one, we look into it as the data collection and surveillance. And how do we view that as a challenge? So AI system often requires massive amount of data, of personal data actually, to function effectively. So this can lead to intrusive data collection practices where individuals' online activities, location data, even biometric informations are harvested without their full understanding or consent, just was mentioned by Philip. Number two, we have loss of anonymity. And AI has an ability to analyze and correlate data, means that even anonymized data sets can sometimes be reverse engineered to identify individuals. And this undermines the concept of privacy and exposes individuals to risk like identity theft or discrimination or in so many ways it comes with its own disadvantages. Number three, we speak of algorithm bias and discriminations. How does that come in when we look into AI? So when AI systems are trained on biased or incomplete data sets, they can perpetuate or even amplify existing inequalities. For example, we have, it is prone currently that face recognition softwares have been shown to have like high error rates for certain demographic groups, and that is leading to very unfair treatment. So that is when it comes to biasness and discrimination in the community based on AI. So the fourth one is lack of transparency and control. So many AI systems operates like a black box, and I think you know what a black box is when it comes to aeroplane. They do collect data without even you knowing, and so many things. So like AI operates like that. You don't even have an option of opting out of it. But that is how it's meant to function, like a black box. So that makes it difficult for users to understand how their data is being used, or even opt out of that data collection. So this lack of transparency erodes trust and leaves individual feeling powerless over their personal information. So the last bit of the challenge that comes with AI, according to my understanding, that I would point it out as number 5, data breaches and misuse. So the more data is collected, the greater risk of breaches. So cyber attacks on AI system can expose sensitive information, while malicious actors can use AI for surveillance, manipulation, or cybercrime. I think the other day you realized United States banned TikTok because it is a China-based mobile application that is collecting data globally, and any country can use that particular data to do espionage, cyber attacks in different countries, or even monitoring and exposing different things that that can cause national crises or national security, that can pose a threat to national security. So those are some of the challenges that comes with it. And lastly, I can give a short snippet of how we can balance both the opportunities and challenges, so that we have a society where AI is not posing a threat to us. And I'll just give a few points. So the first one, I'll say that for us to harness the benefit of this AI while mitigating the privacy risk, we need to have multi-stakeholder approach, maybe in a way. Number one, we need to build a strong regulation, and this comes with the standard that are set to guide how we use AI, and one of them is GDPR. I think GDPR is General Data Protection Regulation, I think so, the standard that have been set, and this ensures transparency, accountability, and user consent before all this data are explored. So another thing that we can do to balance the opportunity and challenges is having ethical AI development, where companies should prioritize privacy design-based principles when they're coming up with these particular AIs. And the next one should be public awareness. We need to teach, educate people about their legal and digital rights when it comes to protecting their data online. And lastly, we need to have something called technological solutions, where we the advances in privacy preserving technologies, such as one is called federated learning or digital differential privacy. I think that is something I learned about, that can help balance data utility with the privacy protection. So it means that we are building AI systems that put privacy first, in as much as we want to balance that with doing business on our daily basis. So yeah. So while AI has high dependency on data to unlock its immense potential in doing whatever it's supposed to be done, there is a proactive demand or approach that we need to take to safeguard privacy by addressing those particular challenges, to balance them with the opportunity that it brings on board. So thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Felix. You have talked about building robust and private and prioritizing privacy when building these AIs. So over to you, Nancy. Can you walk us through some of these methods in which AI artificial intelligence technologies collect data, and how you feel whether or not these processes of data collection are transparent or not, and any concerns around that, especially when building such technologies, as Felix has mentioned.
Thank you so much, Justin. So as my previous speakers have said, there's a lot of ways that data is being collected, knowingly or unknowingly. Sometimes we do know the extent of which data is being collected, sometimes we do not. And it is also depending on the complexity of it all. So you'd find that normally we used to have, we are evolving, we used to have surveys, questionnaires, forms, in collecting data that is both in online and physical. So when it comes to the online bit, whereby data is being collected through surveys, questionnaires, forms, for that you can be able to see all the questions and then you answer with preference with what it is that you agree on. So this is kind of, you have the extent to which you know how your data is being collected, but then it is a bit transparent. But then when you view at the other side of, do they really explain how they're going to use this data? So there is a bit of complexity when it comes to that. And then moving on from the, the easiest ways to when you complicate it, with AI algorithms getting so complex, and nowadays we have many ways of collecting data. So I'm going to repeat what my fellow speakers have said mostly, because starting with web scraping, I think it's a thing I also do knowingly or unknowingly. As an AI engineer, we usually develop agents that can be able to look into websites, and then is hundreds of websites, and then be able to gather data from them, and then we're going to make decisions on it. But then we do not really ask permission or not from this website, from the people who developed them, of where we are using their data, where we're taking their data. So it becomes a bit of, we are breaking some of these rules, or rather we are breaking, our other people's personal privacy, because we are, gathering all this data. We're not giving information of how we're going to use it. We are going to, in the long run, we are building complex AI systems that are going to be used. And, at the end of it all, you find that the gathering of data is not really transparent, and it ends up your data is being used to build something that you even have no idea of. So we have web scraping, we have social media monitoring, whereby, as you explained, you usually find that your information is being collected without your knowledge, whereby if you're scrolling through something and then you come through an ad that has a shoe, all of a sudden, or when you type car in the search engine, all of a sudden all of your social media start bringing you pictures of cars, or places where you can get cars or shoes, something like that. So you'll find that there's so many platforms, or the social media monitoring, whereby everything that you do, the tiny little bit that you do, the information is being collected and put across to develop these complex algorithms. And you may even know or not know how all this is happening in the background. So we also have, as they explained, the biometric data, digital analytics. We also have, in your mobile phones, the GPSs tracking your locations, whereby when you go to places, if you allow it, some of the, as you explained, you usually find that we allow them knowingly or unknowingly for this to track data. I think Google has that feature to either you can allow it to track your information, including location, and then you'll find that in the long run, it brings you all the information to you of what it has located. But then at the end of it all, yes, it's collecting your personal information, it's doing all this, but then the complexity comes in where this information is being used. And most of the systems, except Google, there are other systems, including all that they do not really explain how it is that your data is being gotten from you and how it is being used. So these are some of the methods, especially the online ones, that are being used to extract data, your personal data, from wherever it is that it is extracting, and then being used to create the complex AI algorithms or systems that are being used, by everyone everywhere. So we also have the user activity tracking using the cookies, whereby you can be able to they can be able to track the clicks or the time spent on your pages. So there is a lot of interaction that you do online that you never really know how it is being done. I mean, when you're doing all that, you don't know if something is tracking it. So something is usually tracking it, and then your information is used to train a model somewhere that is going to make it, they're going to make their model faster, depending on what information it is they're looking for. So there is lots of challenges when it comes to transparency in data collection, especially in AI. There is that lack of clear communication, whereby we are not clearly communicated to as people when you're using this online sites or social media. And then this information, with most of them, it comes with the third-party access, and then it can be able to be used to collect your data beyond the initial purpose. So at first, they can tell you you are collecting your data because you are doing 1, 2, 3, but in the long run, you can find that you're not even sure if what they're saying, or rather what they're creating, or rather what they're collecting is really enough, or rather it is what they're telling you to be specific. So you'll find that they're collecting more than enough to be able to train their models. So we also have, the privacy policies that are really complex. Some of the times we do not read, or even when you read, they're difficult or complex to understand. You come across, pages of terms and conditions of privacy policies to be able to use, some of the sites or sites or social media that we are in, and then you're not able to grasp the information that is being told there, where data is being used, where it is being collected. So it becomes kind of frustrating. So that's why you find most of the people even click, I have read the terms and conditions, I have understood, but in the long run, you'll find that you have not really understood what your data is being used for. You'll also find that, most of the, even when the collection or your data is collected, it is really, you do not know how, or rather what it is they are using specifically to train the models with. So you'll find that most of the time, the decisions that these AI systems make, or rather what they are fed in, the data that they are fed in can be more than what it should be. So there is that adversity, or that gap between what is being collected, how it is being collected. Are you really aware of what is being collected, and in the long run, what is it being used for? And so how is it that we can ensure that at the end of the day, all these systems or all this data that is collected, it is able to, it is used for the greater good? Or how is it that we can inform the public? Because most of the time you'll find that we even lack awareness, or other people lack awareness of what is going on, or even negligence of getting to know when you're using all the sites, when you're using all the information that you find online, when you're submitting your information online, what is data that you're submitting to, who are you submitting to, how is your data being used? So there is that a bit of gap that is between there, and it is for the greater good to be able to enforce laws and policies that can be able to educate the public on how this data is being used, and just for companies, and most of them even sell information or data to be able to train these models, so they can be able to enact rules, or mandatory rules on how information is, what is it that they are selling, how much is it that they are selling, and then the long run we'll find that it will be good to be informed. Majorly information, be on the know on what is happening before even that parties come and enact all these rules about what is being done. So first of all, protect yourself before someone else comes to protect yourself. Yeah, so that is just a general idea of how data is being collected online and how transparent it is. Thank you.
Quite some detailed information there. Thank you, Nancy. You have really broken it down to how AI collects our data. You have talked about different methods, web scraping, etc., etc. So I want to bring on Bushnell, who again is the National ICT Teacher Champion. Who Bushnell, can you maybe tell us first of all, when it comes to the Teacher Service Commission, um, how are there any initiatives that are being done? Because in this current day and age, the exposure is more on our students and our teenagers and our children. So you as a teacher and as a person who is working with teachers and learners as well, are there any initiatives towards this topic of making them aware of cyber, the dangers of the internet and how to stay safe online? Are there any initiatives that maybe the Teacher Service Commission has started? What is the progress like in that field?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Justin. Now, I want to say that there are concerted efforts by the Teacher Service Commission, the Ministry of Education and government to bring teachers to speed with the current developments in the ICT sector. So what's happening with the commission, and I'll speak from my point of view as the chair for the ICT Champion Teachers, is that the commission has been providing professional development, PDs, to teachers on matters ICT, and now with special focus to artificial intelligence. So we have several trainings going around the country, several workshops on AI, on data privacy for teachers and also for learners. I've been part of the team that has been training teachers on AI, and last year around November, December there, we had several trainings happening around the country on artificial intelligence. Another thing that is happening in the sector is that different resources are being developed so that they can contribute to education that will widen the teacher's scope in artificial intelligence. So you find that we have materials, we have lesson plans that are focused on AI and data privacy. At this juncture, I can also mention that teachers have been gaining a lot from a platform called Raspberry Pi. You'll find it online, where there are some free digital resources on Experience AI, and that has been very helpful in disseminating this information and this knowledge on AI and data privacy. Something else that has been happening is that there are policies that have been established. There are policies that are governing data privacy. They are also governing AI. So the government is implementing these policies to ensure that educators are equipped to teach AI and data privacy effectively. And therefore, this discussion is paramount in helping our teachers who are also listening to us to get a deeper understanding on how to interact with AI safely and how to use it to their advantage in the normal delivery of their lessons in schools. There has also been concerted efforts in encouraging collaboration. So the government is promoting collaboration among educators so that they can share best practices and resources related to AI and data privacy education. So we have formed several professional learning communities. If you go to Facebook, you find we have professional learning communities. We have a page we have a group, a very big group of around 69,000 teachers called Competency-Based Curriculum and Remote Learning Methodologies. That is a professional learning communities where teachers continually engage with each other and they exchange ideas and knowledge on AI and data privacy. And of course, I as a trainer and other trainers that we have around the country and the field officers who visit teachers in different schools, they offer technical support to help educators integrate AI tools and data privacy practices in their teaching. So in a nutshell, I can say that is what is happening in the education sector. The Commission is fully cognizant of this new development, and so is the government. And therefore, we are supporting teachers in ensuring that they are able to interact with AI safely, and that this AI becomes a tool that will help them to deliver in their classes and realize better learning outcomes. So thank you very much. Over to you, Justin.
Okay, just stay on the stage, Bushnell. As you're on that topic of in the education sector, I'd like to forward a question again. So you've mentioned about some initiatives that are being some initiatives that are being brought forth by the Teacher Service Commission, that is TSC. So how can we integrate AI? You know, because we want to have a lot of students that are exposed to this. So how can we integrate AI and this sort of technological education into the curriculum? That is one. And how can we help, through what ways can we help students be mindful about their privacy online, and not just as current users, but as people who will be grow up in the future, and as they say, the internet never forgets. So how can we sensitize our students on that?
Thank you very much, Justin. Okay, let's look at how we can be able to integrate this AI. There are several ways that teachers can use to integrate AI in their teaching practice. And one of the ways is that we can incorporate AI literacy. We can incorporate AI literacy. This is by teaching students the basics of AI at an early age. When they start interacting with the devices, we can expose them to the basics of AI, including how it works, its applications, and also emphasize on its ethical implication. So that is one way that we can bring about this knowledge on AI and how we can now incorporate it in the teaching. Something else is that we can embed data privacy lessons. As we are teaching, let's say ethic lessons, we are teaching social studies, computer science, we can embed these data privacy lessons. We can integrate the data privacy topics into those learning areas. So as we teach our students, we also make deliberate effort to talk about data privacy, and also to show them how they need to protect their data, and also the data of those maybe they work with, their peers. And also as they grow into mature people, we also train them on how they are going to interact with others in the society by ensuring that their data is protected, and that of the people that are around them is also protected. Now, we can also use real-world examples. Many things are happening, and there's a lot of news about data breaches, a lot of news about data that has not been protected. So we can look for those informations in the net and share with the students. There are so many case studies and examples of data breaches and privacy issues that we can use to help students better understand the importance of data privacy. So by sharing with them the stories that are familiar to them or that will help them to come close or home to understanding this data issue, privacy issue, that one becomes very, very, very important. Something else, Kenya has introduced a new curriculum. That's the competency-based curriculum. Now, one of the things that the curriculum emphasizes is critical thinking. We want to bring up learners who are critical thinkers. So we need to encourage students to be critical thinkers. We teach them to critically evaluate AI tools and data practices. And also, they need to consider both the benefits and the potential risks. So that's something else, encouraging the students to think critically. So they'll be looking at the AI tools and they are able to tell how helpful the tools can be. They are also able to identify when they are about maybe to lose their information in a manner that is not ethical. So they're able to protect themselves. So critical thinking is something that we cannot run away from in this 21st century. And of course, still in the school, we can promote ethical use of AI by initiating discussions. I remember in schools, we used to have debates, and I know even now debates are still popular in schools. So we can initiate discussions centering on ethical considerations of AI and encourage students to think about how they can use AI responsibly as future innovators. So we open up forums where students can come, discuss, debate about the issue at hand, that is AI, and also looking into the future. How can they become responsible future innovators using AI? So I think those are some of the ways we can integrate the AI education into the curriculum. So Justin, I don't know whether I've answered your question. Over to you, please.
Yes, you have. Yeah, thank you so much for that. There are some conversations in the comments. Thank you, Philip, for tackling some of them. There's a Elfas Ekal who says most apps ask for permission from users before you access them, but they never assure us of the safety of our data, like contacts and other important information they gain permission to access. So Nancy, you spoke about this earlier, and also Philip as well. We'll get some comments from both of you. When I am installing an application, when I am logging in to any AI model or any AI technology out there, they usually ask for my permission. For example, for ChatGPT in my phone, it asks me for my microphone. Does it mean that am I safe? Like in the age that we are going in, we'll be having AIs that we just say hello, call someone, etc. etc. Are we safe? Is our contact, our pictures, are we safe? And other important information, as Elfas Ekali is asking, is that information safe that we are giving out our permission to access? So maybe Philip, you can start, and then we can move on to Nancy about that. And this will be linked to the next question that I'll be asking you about what Close the Gap is doing to, what you do at your refurbishment spaces when you're doing computer refurbishment. And do you have any concerns around this, especially when you're refurbishing your computers? Do you ensure that the data of your previous users and your current users are safe, and how is it done to that? But first, get in the conversation with Elfas.
Okay. Okay. So concerning Elfas's concern, sorry to repeat it. Most applications ask for permission from users before you access them, but they never assure us of the safety of our data, like contacts and other important information they gain access to. So I believe most applications actually inform you of how the data you provide them will be used in future. The biggest issue I'd say is that it's usually not very clear. Well, I think they use quite some jargon to explain how this data will be used. But they put in a few clauses on marketing and the likes of that. So that way it falls in between some gray area. And I'd say not many people actually put in the attention or really try and read through the terms and conditions you actually sign up to. So the biggest concern is how they end up manipulating the clauses they put to prevent them from using this data wrongly. But yeah, I think I'd say the good thing is that most of these companies actually follow what they say. Only a few people for their own personal or financial gains who go ahead to use your information against your own consent, I'd say. Then towards the question you asked, Justin, there's a big misconception in the market between refurbished equipment and second-hand equipment. So I'd say second-hand equipment, just to give you an example that is closer to home. Say if you live in a household where you're about 3 or 5 siblings, of course the firstborn would eventually get the opportunity. Okay, in an ideal situation, the firstborn would get the opportunity to own a laptop. A few years down the line, possibly the secondborn will have a need for a device as well. If the firstborn's needs have gone or have elevated to a different level, normally what happens in the typical African household, the firstborn gets to upgrade the device, and then the next kid then gets to own second-hand. Let's say the firstborn passes down the laptop to the secondborn, and they continue using it as is. So that's quite what happens in the second-hand market. So you get a device that was being used by someone else, say in another country as well. But when you receive the laptop, none of the data has been treated. No procedure whatsoever has been done to secure the previous user's data. So for professional who can, say, retrieve data, they're able to go into the same hard disk and retrieve some or maybe all of the previous user's data, because data, as we know, doesn't get destroyed. So here's where refurbishing comes in. So the main aspect refurbishing brings into data security is that I'll give an example from what we use. So we use a certified software known as Blanco. Blanco uses NIST standards. So this is certified by the military and other international bodies, meaning that they have confirmed that this data is being secured. So what happens with Blanco, rather than wiping off the previous data, your data is overwritten with what we call dummy data. So the dummy data takes the place of the original data that was present in the hard disk. Then once you've replaced data on the hard disk, now you're wiping the dummy data. So in a case where a professional is trying to retrieve your data from a hard disk that has been wiped using Blanco, let's call them an attacker. The attacker may only get access to the dummy data, which in return wouldn't really be of much use to them. So that's the main aspect refurbishing brings to data security. So every device that comes into Closing App goes through a data wipe procedure. Every asset is tagged. So at any certain point, say for example, if you to select any device from Closing App, you're able to look at the history of this device and even see when this device came to Closing App, when this device was wiped. So in that essence, we protect the previous user's data and also are able to provide affordable devices to the end users, because the software we use gives you a rundown of the device's health. So you're able to reduce the costs that come with giving this device a second life. I don't know whether I've answered your question well, Justin.
Yes, you have, Philip. Thank you so much for breaking down how Closing App and refurbishes and that very intensive process of making sure that user data is not at risk. I wish that most of our technology companies would adopt that and have the user privacy and former and current user privacy at the top of their priorities. Now, let's have a conversation. Let's switch the conversation back to Felix, and this time we will be talking about businesses and companies. And right now, currently, there are a lot of marketing campaigns. There are a lot of ads that are being run, um, and most of these ads use AI most of the time to push for the content. And when these companies initially they used to have physical people doing the jobs, but right now AI is slowly replacing them. So when leveraging AI for analytics and marketing, what are some of the practices that businesses use to collect, store, and use this data, especially with transparency and ethical concerns? That is your question, and um, we want to match that with the aspect of community. So I hope Felix you've noted that because you're starting fast. But I want us to match that with also the aspect of community and impact. Now that businesses have had this marketing and now they're pushing it back to the people. For you, Nancy, my question is now when it comes to RISA, and from your perspective, when such content has been pushed, companies and so many companies are branding and marketing and selling their content using AI. Which data privacy challenges do you feel, especially as a you can speak maybe in your sense as a founder for a women-led organization? Which challenges do women and girls, and also the youth and the community in general, face here in Africa, and especially considering the existing gender digital divide? And yeah, so Felix, you can go first. Tell us about what um, AI related methodologies that companies and businesses are using today to push and sell their content. And then, Nancy, you can tell us that content, which unique privacy challenges or data privacy challenges that you have maybe experienced as a lead in STEM, especially for women and girls, considering the existing gender digital. Over to you, Felix.
All right, thank you very much. Maybe if I can just break down the question that you posed to me is more of leveraging of AI and for analytics and marketing, and the best practices for businesses to collect, store, and use the customer data ethically and transparently. That's what you have mentioned. So for what I can say is that leveraging AI for analytics and marketing offers business powerful tools to understand and engage with their customers. That is what it offers to businesses. However, it also comes with significant responsibilities to ensure data is collected, stored, and used ethically and transparently. So some of the best practices based on the question that you posed to me that we can put in place to make sure this happens or that businesses should follow or practice include, number one, we speak of ethical data collections. How do we collect this data? We need ethical data collection procedures, meaning, number one, we have to minimize data collection. By doing that, I don't say like we just minimize it by not collecting a lot of data or whatever, but we collect specific data, which is very necessary and for specific purpose that we intend to use it. And this avoids excessive or irrelevant data collection that could infringe on customer privacy. And when I'm speaking about ethical data collection, meaning we need to obtain explicit consent from this particular consumer. So we always need to seek informed and explicit consent from customers before collecting their data, and use clear, straightforward language other than using some technical jargon that would confuse them into giving out data that is not necessary. And still about ethical data collection, we need to provide an opt-out options, because most organizations doesn't do that. So you provide opt-out options to customers so that they can always withdraw their consent anytime. Another thing that we need to do in order to have ethical, for businesses need to practice in collecting, storing, or using data ethically and transparently is transparent data usage, just as the question had posed, meaning we need a clear privacy policy written in a plain language that they understand. Also, we need to have purpose limitation, where we use data only for the purpose that has been explicitly stated during the time of the collection. And also, we need to have proper customer communication. So we need regular update to customers on how their data is being used and any changes to your or their data practices or our data or the organization's data practices transparently, and that would build trust between the consumers and businesses. Another practice that they need to put in place is a secure data storage. And there are three key things that they need to look into when we speak of secure data storage. Number one is encryption. So the use of strong encryption method that protect the data both in transit and in rest. at rest, the data that is at rest and the one that is at transit. And that will ensure that even data is not intercepted or accessed by those who do not have authorizations. And that will make it protected in a way. And then another thing that we need to do when we speak of data, secure data storage, is access controls. We need to implement strict access controls to ensure that only authorized personnel can access sensitive data. And that is something that we implement when we're doing software development, and that is more of building AIs, and we use role-based access limit data exposure when we're doing all these. And another procedure or practice that businesses need to implement in this is ethical AI practices. And number one, that is biased data mitigation. And how do we do that? We need to do regular audit of the AI algorithms to identify and mitigate the biasness using of diverse and representative data set to train the models. We don't make it specifically one particular set of data, but we need diverse data sets so that we prevent or mitigate biasness. Also, we need something called explainability, where we ensure that all the AI-driven decisions that we do are explainable and very transparent. Customers should be able to understand how any decisions are made, and especially in critical areas like, let's say, credit scoring or hiring. And I think, credit scoring and the hiring positions in organizations is majorly done by AI in most big blue, how do we call them? Just forgot about that one. Yeah. And then when we speak about ethical AI practices in terms of the collection, usage, and storage of data, we also speaking of something called human oversight. So this one is where we maintain how human oversight over AI systems to ensure ethical use and to intervene when necessary. And so another thing that we need to do in the process of the collection, storage, and let me just check on that. when we are collecting, we are storing, and we are using customer data ethically and transparently as the keywords, we need to do something called data anonymization and aggregation. So what is data anonymization? So this is, I mean, when we do data anonymizations, we try to anonymize that. I think you know that you people know the term anonymity. We anonymize the data to protect individual identities, and this reduces the risk of privacy breaches while still allowing for valuable insights from those particular data. Another thing we can do is aggregating the data. So use of aggregated data for analytics and marketing purposes, and that minimizes the risk of exposing individual customer. And I think when we speak of aggregated data, you have seen where people collect data and they perform statistics and they give you result in terms of aggregated data, like a given percentage of this population does 1, 2, 3. That helps provide identity behind those particular data. Another step that businesses need to do is compliance with the regulation, and this is adhering to the legal standard that are set. For example, I mentioned earlier on in my first response about the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, and there's another one called CCPA that is more of the Western in the US, and this ensures that this data follows the legally laid regulations. Another thing is customer empowerment in the process of all this collection, and that is in terms of privacy setting. We offer, or businesses need to offer customers control over their data through customizable privacy setting that allows them to choose which data to be collected, and also transparency reports. They need to publish regular transparency reports detailing data requests from government or third parties, and how your company, on how your company has responded to those particular requests, because sometimes government can also request this data in organization. And also education and awareness under customer empowerment program, where they educate customers about their data rights. And I think I had already mentioned that in our previous talk. And then maybe I just mentioned this last two quickly. Number one is ethical marketing practices, avoiding manipulative tactics when you're doing marketing as an organization. And also a personalization with consent that I'd already mentioned. And the last one, they need to have continuous improvement in their process. They stay informed and have ethical training in organizations, and third-party partnership, where they ensure third-party vendors and adhere to the same ethical standards, and they conduct due diligence before they have partnership with them. So that, I think, is some of the steps businesses need to implement while in the procedure of collecting, storing, and using customer data ethically and transparently in an organization. Thank you, Jason.
Okay, thank you so much, Felix. We wrote about the issue of consent. That is something we'll also be looking at later on. But there are a couple of questions on the comments. And but first, I would like Nancy to go first, and then we can continue with the questions. I think our panelists are ready to answer them. But Nancy, proceed with the question that I asked about how now, how are these, what are some of the things that in STEM, the data privacy concerns and challenges that are brought about, and how they affect girls and women, and also the youth when it comes to teaching STEM, learning STEM. Yeah.
Thank you so much. In STEM, let me say that. There are a couple of challenges I personally face before we even go to how we are empowering other young girls in the community, to use technology. And I think it's a really delicate issue, and something that we can never oversee while we are doing all that, because some of the people, or rather the young girls we did with, they are not mature enough to understand what it is that we are bringing to them. At the same time, they've never interacted with technologies, including computers or any other technology of the sort. So bringing a new concept in their life, and it's really critical in this day of digital age to get to understand how it is they are using these resources and how it is that they are going to protect them online. So there are a couple of challenges that we face. Starting with is having limited knowledge or awareness. You'll find that the communities that we deal with, because it's a new concept you're introducing to them, they really don't understand how it is, what it is that technology entails, and the general lack of digital literacy. And then this is really cautious. It's really brings a lot to our side to get to know what it is that we have to inform them, for them to be able to understand the importance of data privacy and how to secure the information online. That is, if they have to present it to them. And we'll find that not only all them, if we have young girls in general, especially to the underdeserved, underrepresented communities, whereby they didn't have access to technology or the knowledge about it. At the long run, if someone gets to have a technology, or rather a phone, or access to a laptop, the information that they're coming across with, you'll find that they don't know how to present themselves online. So at the long run, you'll find them oversharing, or put information that is overly sensitive or personal. And at the end of the day, you'll find that the lack of how it is that you're supposed to present yourself online makes them at a higher danger of facing the digital, or rather the privacy issues that we're talking about. On top of that, you'll find that mostly I think the females are faced with challenges to do with online harassment and stalking and gender-based violence, whereby if you post a picture of yourself, you'll find people commenting about it, or even people replicating your account and creating fake accounts from what it is that you from the person that you're not. And then you'll find that in the long run, the people are using your account, or rather that fake account is used to create, or rather log into sites that are not ideal, or rather your information is being sold to places that you don't even know about. So you'll find that there is a high risk of you're doing something innocently, but at the end of the day, you'll find that it will face a challenge to you. And then at the end of the day, you can even find that it can even cause physical harm, because if someone else is doing this online, there is no at the end of the day, you find that something can even happen to you physically. Let's say even information, when wrong information is shared about you, and then people come across it, and then they want to harm you according to what that information was. And then you'll find that at the end of the day, it was not you. It was just a replica of something that you did, or rather something you posted. And then at the end of the day, it will come to harm you. So there is this privacy challenges that we are facing as young women. And talking about that also, you'll find that due to all this, there are constraints that when we are informing ourselves of what is happening online, it is really difficult to do so when there are places that cannot have access to the technology due to lack of infrastructure, or what it is that requires for them to be able to understand. This is why taking all this, for me, I feel like it's an obligation to take this to the communities, for them to be able to understand, because most of the time what happens is these people are able to do this on their own. And when they do that, it's okay, it's true, we cannot reach everyone, but the little that we can do to educate the young girls on what it is that is required for them when they get online, how to navigate across it. It is really important, but you'll find that the access to technology, most of the people are being faced with that in the moment. And most of the time, you'll find that they don't even know of their digital rights and how to protect themselves when it comes to all that. And it's because you'll find that there is the lack of legal frameworks that can protect their personal data. And then at the end of the day, you'll find that they become vulnerable to exploitation or misuse. And in line with that, you'll also find other cultures whereby they do not even allow young women to be in possession of technology. They view technology as an evil that is trending, or something that is taking away what belongs to them. And having, I don't know if it is a good thing or a bad thing, but preserving your culture, yes, but at the same time being ignorant of what is happening right now. And you cannot control someone forever. So at the end of the day, when these young girls come to a point where in the imposition of or rather they can be able to access digital spaces, they do not know how to do that. So there are lots of challenges that as young girls, mostly in the underrepresented areas, and also in the ones that have access to technology, not knowing how to navigate across it when they come across it. And it is important to address all these issues for the digital divide at first, and also their privacy issues when it comes to that, by targeting them, being able to take that awareness to them, how to be able to access the information that they have, and also advocating for stronger data privacy issues when you're doing all that. So it is important to if you're in the know of what is happening, you can take it to the person who does not know, share the information. At the end of the day, you'll find that we can reduce much of what is happening right now by sharing what we know and being aware of it all. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We brought about the aspect of access, information, and sensitization, and that the community needs to know of these concerns. I'm adding to the stage Marianne, who is my co-host for today. She'll be tackling, I think, some of the questions and some of the. Yeah, I think there was a question she was supposed to pose. Marianne, first of all, say hi, and then you can go forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? I love how the conversation is going. I love every bit of this, and very insightful. It's been very insightful. Going to the comments, St. John Ambulance Coast Region asked, how can I protect my children's privacy on the internet, especially with what panelists have said about how AI is using data? I think I'd like to direct this question to Mr. Bushnell, if you will.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marianne. Happy to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of ways that parents can use to ensure their children's privacy on the internet anytime they are interacting with computers. Now, some of the ways that maybe I can quickly talk about, number one, is that parents need to teach their children about the importance of privacy and potential dangers online. So regularly, as a parent, you need to discuss what information is safe to share and what should remain private. So that issue of educating and communicating your learner or your child is very, very essential. As a parent, one of the things that I have also done in my place, in my home, is to use what we call parental controls. Now, parents can use parental controls on devices and apps to monitor and restrict the children's online activities. What is it that they are doing? You need to be you need to be in the know of what your learners are doing or your children are doing while they are online. So come up with a creative way of using parental controls. This can help you control the context or the content that your children access, and also limit their interaction with strangers. So you need to configure those devices and set up strong parental controls. Another thing that parents can do is to make sure that the privacy settings on the social media accounts, also the apps and devices, are set at the highest level of protection. Yeah, just check, go to the settings and check and see how are the privacy settings. Are they at a very high level of protection? If not, you need to adjust that. So this includes restricting who can see their profile, restricting who can see their posts, and also personal information. So some people are not aware. They leave everything out there. And then Now, these people who want to steal your children's data, or even you want to use that data elsewhere for other gains, then they are able to access that. So you need to filter, you need to check, you need to ensure that the privacy settings are set at the highest level of standards. Something else we've also always talked about and we've trained our students about is on the passwords. You need to train your children on how to use strong passwords. Encourage them to use unique passwords for each online account. I've found people duplicating or using one password across all the platforms. That is very dangerous. That is very dangerous. If a hacker accesses your password, just one password, then that person will be able to attack all the accounts. Therefore, you need to train your children on how to come up with strong passwords. Let them have unique passwords for each online account. And understand, please, that passwords should be a mix of numbers, symbols, special characters, and all that. And then you can consider using a password manager to keep track on them. So the issue of strong passwords is something that you really need to think about. Check whether the passwords are strong. If they are not, please work on them to strengthen them. There is something else that I normally use in all my devices, and this is what we call the two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication. You can enable the 2FA on your children's accounts where possible. Now, this adds a layer of security by requiring a second form of verification. So, for instance, I can initiate or use a 2FA, and then anytime my kids are logging into their devices, I will receive a code that they will need so that they can be able to access the site. So if that happens, it makes it completely difficult for someone with ulterior motive to be able to attack that account, because they will not be able to access it since you have enabled the 2FA. Train your children or remind your children to be cautious about sharing personal information, such as their full name, their address, their phone number, and even the school name online. These are personal details or data that should not be out there in public. This is what the attackers will use, even to kidnap your child or to cause any harm, even to you as a parent. If a child is kidnapped and the next thing you are hearing is a phone call that we are with your child, don't go to the police. That means that there is at one point when information was open and it was stolen online. So you need to talk to your children to remind them not to share their personal information online. Now, there's a lot of development in technology, and one of the developments is on monitoring softwares. There are some monitoring softwares that you as a parent could consider using, and that one allows you to keep an eye on your children's online activities. Now, this can help you identify potential risks and also take necessary actions. So you can look for the monitoring software that you feel you can engage and install in those devices, and it will really help you to keep track of your children's activities while online. You as a parent also, you need to advocate for safe online behavior. Teach your children to recognize and avoid suspicious links, emails, and also downloads that could compromise their privacy and settings. I have seen this being an issue even with grown-ups, whereby you find that a link has been thrown into a group, and people just start clicking on that link without knowing what is this link all about. They're not able to tell even whether the link is safe or not. So that way, you hear someone saying, I don't know, my WhatsApp has been taken over, my Facebook account has been, something like that. So you need to learn and train your kids on how to recognize and avoid those suspicious links, and also the emails and all that. Now, something else that is important, ensure that all the devices that you have at home and the software are regularly updated to protect against the latest threats, the latest security threats. So over and over again, the softwares and the devices become outdated. So you need to keep on updating them regularly, so that also their security level remains top-notch. And lastly, Marianne, maybe what I can say is that you need to maintain an open line of communication with your children, encouraging them to come to you if they encounter anything uncomfortable or suspicious online. Let them talk to you, and then you as a parent, you'll be able to advise them and also to protect them accordingly. So I think those are some of the ways that parents can use to ensure safety of their children while online. Thanks, Marianne, over to you.
Thank you so Thank you so much, Bushnell, for that very insightful comments. I can see in the chats it's very active. Going back a little bit, Mr. Philip, I saw you answer a certain question that was asked on YouTube, and I'd like you to expand more on it. The question was, what are some examples of AI, of how AI is being misused to deceive us? Could you kindly expand on that more, Philip?
Yes. Thank you, Marianne. Well, I'd say that's quite a rabbit hole. If we delve into the various scams that have been going on online, but I'll just go back to the same answer I had shared earlier. So one surface level example of how AI is being used to deceive us. So as many social media applications try to provide the ideal content for you as a person, gauging on your previous interactions and all, you find that they optimize it to a point where it's almost impossible for you to let go of your phone. You'd find the reels being suggested to you are like exactly the type of reels you want to see. Perhaps if you were manifesting a trip and all, then you see multiple videos of people who've been on trips to the specific places you actually want to visit. This triggers your mind to want to stay on that site or page for longer hours. This affects productivity in the long run. But other ways in which AI has been used for deception, I'll just highlight a few. So last year we had two deep fake romance scams. So in Hong Kong, there was a love scam where fraudsters were using AI generated personas to trick victims into sending over $46 million through these fake relationships. In Kenya, well, I'd say locally, we call it Kukula Fair. So imagine $46 million being funneled just by people faking a love scenario. And you find you can create a whole persona using AI. You can make the face of the person. You can feed some characteristics to that AI persona. That way, the person interacting with the AI, basically, you're able to beat the Turing test. Basically, the AI advancement at this point sort of manages to cheat the Turing test in a way that you're not really able to tell who you're conversing with on the other end. So aside from that, there was another Elon Musk crypto scam. So victims like Heidi Swan, I don't know if you know them, lost about $10,000 after watching AI-generated videos of Elon Musk promoting fake cryptocurrency giveaways on TikTok, on Facebook, and I think even on Twitter. So the fact that Elon Musk is a well-known tech influencer, if I'd say, he's an engineer, well, he wears many hats, but the fact that he's an expert in the tech field, him giving, rather him promoting cryptocurrency would easily sway a large group of people towards buying into that cryptocurrency. And we saw that also happen last year. I'll also touch on another one that went quite viral. There was a story about a UK finance worker transferring funds after a video call with a deepfake replica of the company's CFO and other colleagues. So these fraudsters were able to create AI-generated personas for the CFO, the company's CFO, and other colleagues, and they sent a message to the finance worker telling them, we have this urgent request to withdraw or transfer money out of the company account. Kindly facilitate it. And the worker was a bit hesitant because it was quite an absurd request. So what the attackers did, they told the worker, let's just jump on a quick call with the CFO and other colleagues so that you can easily verify that this request is genuine. So they went ahead to have a video call, and unfortunately, the only real person in that video call was the worker, and they ended up losing about $25 million through this scam. So there's very many angles through which AI may be used to deceive us. So there's quite a few things I'd say we are able to do to prevent such attacks. But at the end of the day, AI is advancing at a very high scale. So at some point it might get worse, I'm afraid. But yeah, through the few things shared by my fellow panelists, I think through this through these preventive measures, we are able to curb a few of these scams and protect ourselves online. Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you so much, Philip, for that. Again, going back to the comments, there's a question that had been asked on YouTube. That is from one of our listeners, Njeri Mutero. She asked, how can AI be used to balance online security and personal freedom? I think, Felix, would you kindly answer this for us?
All right, thank you, Marianne. Maybe I'll just do a quick to that question of Njeri Mutero. How can AI be used to balance? How can AI be used to balance online security and personal freedom? So, security and freedoms. Freedom meaning you don't have to be bothered when your data is being collected. Security, you have assurance that your data is protected wherever it is being stored or which particular app is collected that. So the question is, how can AI be used to balance between the personal security, between balance online security and personal freedom? So for me, I believe that online security and personal freedom can be balanced by AI, and the answer is yes, and these are the reasons. I'll just give a few. And number one is enhancing security, and that can be done by AI itself. And that is using, we can do something called, or detecting threats such as malware and phishing in real time while minimizing false positives. And this can be done particularly by AI and in their building and in their implementation processes. Another thing that AI can be used to do in order to balance between the online security and personal freedoms is privacy preserving techniques, and I had already mentioned some of them in my previous response, and that is using anonymization, encryption, and federated learning. And I think you understand what anonymization is, encryption is, and federated learning is, and that all will be used in protecting your data. And that is a technique that can be implemented by AI. When your data has been collected and it's supposed to be consumed by this AI in order to give the desired result, it implement anonymization, where your identity can't be revealed beyond the data that has been used in this particular AIs, and also encrypting them in the process to avoid interception or like breach in any way possible, including the last that I've just mentioned, federated learning. Again, we need transparency on this, and ensuring AI systems are very explainable and decisions are made understandably to the users. And that will protect them, or balance between the online security and personal freedoms. And then another thing that I can add on that is user controls. We need to allow individuals to customize privacy settings and opt out of data collection anytime they want. And that would balance that. And lastly, bias mitigation, and that can protect them from the online security, give a balance between the online security and personal freedoms. When we have a balance, a bias mitigation, we audit the AI system to prevent discrimination against specific demographics or whatever that is. And I think that gave a proper response to that particular question. Thank you very much, Mariam.
Thank you so much, Felix, and Bushnell and Philip for giving those insights on the questions asked in the comments. To everyone who is listening and watching us, thank you so much for the insight. Thank you for tuning in and listening. At this juncture, I'd like to take it back to our host, Justin. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Marianne, for that short Q&A. Yeah, so I am looking at the time, and we have we have only 23 minutes left to end our conversation. So we're going to do one question per panelist, and I will start with Nancy. Um, so talking about your organization, how does WISA, or Women in Sustainable STEM Africa, help women and girls to become more informed and engaged and also influential in shaping AI and data privacy policies across the continent? And also, what are some of the key initiatives or the policies, sorry, that you feel should be prioritized to ensure AI technologies in Africa are developed and used responsibly, all the while safeguarding the privacy rights of all individuals in the community, and especially women and girls?
Thank you so much, Justin, for that. So picking the conversation from where I stopped, that is how there is the gap between how women and girls lack information, and if they have, how they do not know how to safeguard them online from the different, threats that they face. And in order to, break that down on how we are curbing that. First of all, it's through, as I said, most of them lack their awareness. So it's contacting awareness campaigns whereby we train them, or rather inform them of what is happening at the moment and how it is that they can use the knowledge that we are giving them to protect themselves online. So basically, through mostly it encompasses the awareness bit of it. So doing as much as possible to ensure that they have enough information required, and at the end of the day, you find that if they do know how to protect themselves online. The other thing that we are doing directly or indirectly, it's the advocacy of gender inclusive policies when it comes to the creation of the AIs, or rather the policies that are being enacted or brought into place in the role of AI playing it out. We find that existing scenarios that have been coming across is that you find that some AI systems that are being the data that they are being fed at some point will reaches a point where they are not they're biased. Let me say that they're biased towards women and girls. This is because the data that you're feeding them, it has not been filtered to remove some of the aspects that the broad information provides. So you find that it will discriminate girls and women, from even broad, diverse fields when it comes to, let's say, hiring. Some of the AIs that are used for hiring can be able to exclude women and girls because that is the information that has been given to them, and they are not really, the information is not being filtered, it's not being cleaned on what it is that has to be presented to them. So advocating for policies that can be able to reflect the needs of and concerns of girls and women, and pushing all these unique challenges that girls and women are facing to be able to access the knowledge, access the technology, and be safe online. At the same time, we do have a supportive network whereby you can be able to be part of it, and in everything that you're going through, you can be able to voice it out. So sharing ideas, collaborating on different things, and when you bring that all together, we can be able to amplify the voices of the people who are in the know and those who do not know, so that we can all compact this issue of privacy, online privacy in short. And through all these mentorship programs that we usually have, it can encompasses everything that has to do with all that. So in line with that, we do also collaborate with stakeholders in the different fields. The government, at some, even the law cases that, it does not mean that we have to go to the government, to the authorities where this has to be directed to, but, through the small things that we usually do, we collaborate with different entities and get to know how it is that they're applying, or rather, how is it that they are making sure that the platforms that are being used by, for example, young girls, how is it that they are protecting those platforms, and when they bring them online, how is it that they ensure that the information that is being shared there is, able to protect the girls are being able to, protect themselves from all that. So those are some to mention out of the many different ways that we are doing to make sure that they're aware of what is happening. And in line with that, the key initiatives, just a repeat of the same policies that should be prioritized to ensure that AI technologies in Africa are developed and used responsibly. We have, you'll notice that even for what the government did, the public participation, they released the document where you can be able to go through it and understand, the role of what is it that they're playing, or rather you as a person, what is it is that you have to connect with the government to make sure that whatever it is being released, it is ethical for AI, when it comes to AI and the security that we're talking about. So we can be able to be inclusive in the policy development, as I've explained, and also there is a need for comprehensive data protection and privacy laws that can be able to safeguard personal information that encompasses the companies, the organizations that collect our data, and you really don't know how your data is being used for or where it is stored. And at the end of the day, you'll find that if it is training a model or what it is that is doing, companies and organizations can even set something, the guardrails. They can be able to filter what it is, the personal information that goes to the public, or rather goes to what is it that you're using that data for. And then at the end of the day, you'll find that having encompassed all this, you'll find that there the companies or the organizations, when you have a breach of those data, so for these laws, when you breach this data and you misuse this data, they can be able to be fined for it, or there are measures that are taken for you not be able to do all this. The other thing that's really is key for everyone is being on the know of what is happening. So educating yourself of the essentials of data privacy online. What is it that you're required to do? It is really important to be able to protect your information, and as well as know how your information is being used. So as I said, we are usually very ignorant about what is happening, but it's high time, and we don't do that anymore, because as time goes by, the AI algorithm are becoming very complex, and as they become complex, the more data they are utilizing, and the more data they utilize, the more information about yourself and other people is being, accessed. So it is important to educate yourself on how to be able to do that. At the same time, as one of the speakers said, having ethical AI guidelines that are established to ensure that whatever it is being developed, it can be able to it is within the well-being of the users. So you can be able to be transparent enough about what is happening, and at the same time, the ones that are being used for, you can ensure that the AI that are not being used for, the ones that do surveillance and all that, they're not being used in harmful ways, such as harassment and exploitation and all that. So being able to, collaborate with the legal frameworks, you ensure that, there is a lot that is coming when, especially in cybersecurity, and also for governance in security, and also governance for AI, to make sure that whatever it is that people are doing online, or rather what it is that you're presenting yourself with, or rather the companies and organization, anyone in general, what they're doing is in line with, protecting your safety first before everything else. So it is important to, first educate yourself, know what it is that it is required of you. Secondly, someone who cannot be able to access that information, take it to them. Thirdly, involving the, and other entities that you can collaborate with to ensure that the policies and the laws that are being made are for the social good. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. That was a really nice breakdown with that question. And just again, in time, I would like Felix to quickly expound on. You see, right now, many companies are using, we're doing marketing, so we need to collect user data to generate personalized ads, etc., etc. And all of these things are obviously based on driving profit. So how can businesses balance profit-driven AI strategies with ethical data practices and ensuring fair and privacy-conscious AI-driven decisions? And also, what is the, because you're bridging, you're bridging the discussion from the angle of businesses and corporates. What is the future of work, the future of doing business? And now that AI is coming in as a mitigator or a factor that is important, what are your thoughts on that as well?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Justin. As you have just posed the question that how can businesses balance profit-driven AI strategies with ethical data practices while ensuring fair, unbiased, and privacy-conscious AI-driven decisions in organizations? I think basically when you just mentioned business, people do businesses to make money, and those who use AI strategies for profit-driven ways, and we want to see how ethically can they do that and balance it while ensuring fair and biased and privacy conscious AI-driven decisions in the organization. So currently we can say that balancing profit AI strategies with ethical data practices is a critical challenge that businesses face today. And while this extensive data is being collected to enhance user experience and drive profitability for organization, it is also reinforcing risky biases that compromises the privacy. The privacy of so many customers out there. So how can we balance that, the AI profit-driven strategy, with ethical data practices in organizations? So I think I would say, number one, we need to adopt ethical AI frameworks in establishing all this, or ensuring in our day-to-day business operations in our organizations. And that means we need to establish clear principles and ethical review boards, probably if your organization is big and has resources to implement an AI, that is something that you can do. Another thing that we can do to ensure that happens well is ensuring a fair and unbiased AI models, specifically to the organization that build these particular models, AI models in uses, and that we need to do by having a diverse and representative data, as I already mentioned earlier, and also doing bias detection and mitigation of all that regularly in an organization, and having an explainable and transparent way of all these processes in an organization, as I already mentioned earlier. So implementing, also we need to implement privacy conscious data practices. And I think that still answers how can business balance profit? I mean, how can businesses balance profit driven AI strategies with ethical data practices? And that will ensure fair, bias, and privacy conscious AI decisions in organization. So I've just said we implement privacy conscious data practices. That means the data minimization that I already mentioned earlier, the anonymization and also aggregation, which I'd already spoken about, and privacy design, meaning when we are coming up with this particular AI in our organizations or implementing them, we need to have privacy by designing these particular AI platforms, even as we implement them towards the profitability of our organizations. Also, another thing that we need to do is the balance of profit and ethics, just as the question had already brought it up. Profit, ethic, value-driven AI. So we focus on creating AI-driven solutions that deliver real value to users while also respecting their privacy and rights, and also ethical marketing, where we avoid these manipulative or deceptive marketing tactics, and ensuring that AI-driven marketing strategies are ethical and respect autonomy of all the users in that particular file. Also, we need to have long-term perspective. So when we consider that the long-term implications of AI strategies, ethical lapses can lead to reputational damage of these organizations, and so even legal penalties or loss of customer trust. And also, we need to engage stakeholders. And here, in this particular field, I think you know that in this particular field, I think you know very well that stakeholders here, we have the customers, and we have, that is the customers' involvement in that particular journey. We have industry collaborations, and we also have cross-functional teams. So form of cross-functional teams that includes maybe the data scientists, the legal expert, the business leaders. And you have mentioned something in the question, and that is the future of work, even as we integrate it in our daily businesses. And I think I would give this example. For example, in Yetu Consulting, I mentioned the other time that we are more of doing digital marketing and general branding and all that. And how is the future of work based on what the question that you already asked? The world is going digital. AI is taking over most of the things. To mean we need to be digitally fit to handle what the current world is leading us to. People are going to work remotely from wherever you are, be it at home or whatever position you are in. So that means we need to equip ourselves with these digital skills in order to counter anything that comes up online that will explore ignorance. If we do not know these policies, if we do not know how this operates, and you're running a business, you are badly off. For you to run a business properly, you need to learn the current trends, and that is we are in the era of digital. I mean, the digital revolution, and that is AI, data exploitation that comes with it. So put the business in a position that you're able to handle that. I'll give you an example. When we're building software for organization, because that is one of the things we do. We build the websites, we do general branding, we do digital marketing and maintenance of all digital assets. Other people would call it metaverse, because that is like the online realm world. So whatever you need to do is that you need to implement proper security features. You need to implement document every steps and processes while you're doing that. You need to come up with the privacy policy that you even publish on your website and inform all your client of the data you collect from them, how you're working with it, and all that. And basically, you will be very fit to stay in the future. And that's why nowadays, if I need something, I go online and order. I basically don't have to go to a shop physically to buy a product. I just need to sit at the comfort of my house, place an order, and there's the delivery system. So even me, I can do my business while just sitting at home. Actually, I've been doing this is now over 1 year working from home, and I make money. Not that I don't make money. I don't have to walk out. Philip, you're laughing. I don't have to walk out every day to an office to make money, but I can sit at the comfort of my desk and get online jobs. Even in US, in UK, I build a website for somebody. I maintain digital platforms for somebody. I build digital assets for people, including the logos, the branding materials, whatever it is. I can brand a whole organization in South Africa, but I'm not there. Seated comfortable in my home. And that is the future of work. If we define it based on what AI takes today, sit at your home, make money. They say buy back time. When you're buying back your time, meaning if you have a lot of free time by yourself, you are able to think, do a lot of multiple things, have that freedom, be happy. And with the economy of Kenya today, you speak of our country specifically, you understand people are going jobless. The other day, USAID was terminated from operating its humanitarian services globally. You are earning 150,000, 300,000, 500,000, and all of a sudden the organization stops. The salary is not there. You had a mortgage of maybe 20 million to pay in 25 years. You have a car mortgage of maybe 6 million. Your child or your children are going in British education system, and you're paying several amount of money, maybe 400 or 500,000 a month. And then all of a sudden that stops. What do you do? If you didn't equip yourself with digital skills, it means you have to face the harsh reality that dawns at you at that particular moment. So you have to be clever now, push that button, get digitally, and moves with the revolution. That is what I can say. Thank you very much, Mr. Jason. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Philip. Quickly, your final question is, now that, okay, we've heard about Nancy and the impact she's trying to make to the community in STEM, and the biggest challenge is access. And Close the Gap comes in to bridge that digital gap. So, in communities with lower digital literacy and access to technology, how does Close the Gap balance, increasing technology access and strong education and information, also while thinking about the whole issue of online safety, data privacy, and all that? Give your comments, and then we'll finish up with Bushnell, and then we'll get parting shots from all of the panelists.
Okay, thank you for that question, Justin. So on this point, I'll talk about specifically two products we have here at Close the Gap. So one of them we call Adopter Class, and the other one we call DigiTrack. So Adopter Class basically is a package where we're able to work with a financing partner, say one of the big banks, or say FedEx, who is earning from home. They're able to come on board and provide some financing to facilitate acquisition of this equipment and any other equipment necessary to set up a digital lab. Then once we have the hardware, the equipment, we work with partners, for example, Tech Kids Africa. We've also worked with Nairobi Trust to come on board as a training partner. So besides just offering this IT hardware, we also come in and provide some software skills, basically to the caretakers of the devices. That way to ensure proper use of the devices, proper dissemination of information to the students. So this looks like having the teachers learn how to use the devices, how to ensure privacy when they're using these devices, how to ensure they're using correct websites, rather visiting correct websites on the internet. This way, we're basically laying a foundation that strengthens the future of this digital lab. So in future, the students who would benefit from this lab are able to learn from the caretakers who received this training on how to properly use the same equipment, on how to properly assess the websites they're visiting. So that creates a snowball effect with the project we call Adopted Class. Then the second project I mentioned is what we call DigiTrack. The DigiTrack program is a state-of-the-art classroom, which is converted from a 40-foot sea container, fitted with panels on the side. You have AC on top. You have a 65-inch TV or whatever size you prefer, and you have about 20 to 25 computers in the mobile lab. This moves around certain remote areas, providing different lessons or different skills to these underserved people. So currently there are about 2 DigiTracks in Kenya at the moment. You're able to see one in Nairobi with one of our partners, and there's another one, I think, somewhere in the western side of Kenya. So these tracks move from one point to another, say about a month's period, providing different skills to the communities there who would have otherwise never received such training. They get to interact with computers, they get to learn about, say, internet safety, and so on. So those two ways of those two are some of the ways we try to balance between provision of equipment and also ensuring proper use and proper safety of these people on the internet. Besides that, I'd say we have quite a number of programs available where we try to sensitize the general public. Currently, every week here, we have one of our partners, Cylander, providing cybersecurity training every Monday. So we have a variety of different products tailored just to fit certain undeserved people or underserved people with this important skills. Thank you, Justin.
Okay, thank you for that, Bushnell. Very quickly, your final question. Now, you're coming in on behalf of the Teacher Service Commission. How can TSC support educators in building their own understanding of AI before going to the classrooms and equipped with that knowledge to share with the students? How can teachers who are watching, how can educators who are you know also following in this conversation, how can they build their own understanding of AI and data privacy so that they can go to class with confidence and also guide students in this continuous evolving digital landscape?
Thanks, Justin. I think the Teacher Service Commission can play a pivotal role in supporting educators to build their understanding of AI and data privacy. And one of the things that the Commission can do is to organize for workshops, seminars, and training sessions that are focused on AI and data privacy. Now, these programs can provide educators with the latest information and practical skills to integrate AI responsibly into their teaching. Now, the Commission can also work with educational institutions to develop and integrate AI data privacy topics into the curriculum. Now, this will ensure that educators and students are exposed to these important subjects from an early age. Another thing that I think the Commission can do is to create and distribute comprehensive guides, toolkits, and online resources that cover AI and data privacy. Now, these resources can include lesson plans, case studies, and best practices. The Commission can also collaborate with AI data privacy experts to provide educators with insights and guidance. So this can include guest lectures, webinars like this one, and I want to thank the teachers who have joined in. And also it could also include question and answer sessions. Now the commission, that is the TSC, can also develop and disseminate ethical guidelines on the use of AI and data in education. Now, these guidelines can help educators understand the potential benefits and risks of AI, and also how to use the AI ethically. Now, TSC can also establish support networks where educators can share experiences. I've alluded to the professional learning communities that teachers have, and these are powerful platforms that teachers can use to share their experiences, their challenges, and also solutions that are related to AI and data privacy. So these can foster a community of practice and continuous learning. Now, there is also need for the Commission implementing an evaluation system to assess the effectiveness of AI and data privacy education programs. So there is need for feedback from educators all around the country so that that feedback can help refine and improve the programs, the AI programs and data privacy programs over time. So it is my feeling that by taking these steps, the Teacher Service Commission can empower educators to confidently navigate the digital landscape and guide the students effectively. Over to you, Justin.
Thank you so much, Bushnell. Thank you so much, all of our panelists. Now, you have 15 seconds or 20 seconds, each of you. Let's start with Felix, then Nancy, then Philip, and then lastly Bushnell to give your parting shots.
All right, thank you, Justin. So the fact that we are in the era of artificial intelligence, now the question of privacy has emerged as a defining challenge of our times, and AI with its unparalleled ability to analyze and predict and innovate hold immense progress. I mean, promise for the progress of the current economy, especially for our country and other countries. So we need to harness this benefit of AI while also safeguarding other people's or everybody's privacy, meaning we must adopt a very balanced approach, one that prioritizes transparency, accountability, and ethical responsibility. That includes businesses, governments, and individuals like collaborators and everybody. We come together, we embrace it, and above all, let us embrace the challenge that, and with wisdom and foresight, ensuring that every advance in technology, we remain steadfast in our commitment to protecting what makes us human. And what is that? Privacy, our right to privacy, anonymity, and human dignity. That marks the end of my comments. Thank you so much, Jason.
Straight away, Nancy, give your final remarks.
Thank you so much, Justin, and for giving me the opportunity to be part of the discussion. So my parting shot would be, as the previous speaker has said, as the continuous development of AI advances, the issue of security also advances and becomes critical at the same time, because we don't know where we stand when it comes to protecting ourselves online, and the advancement and the complexity of AI algorithms that are being developed from time to time. So it is us first of all to inform ourselves about what is required of us to ensure that we are protecting ourselves online. And then at the end of it all, it's a collaborative nature to ensure that the governments, industries, the institutions, the companies that are involved, they can be able to take this issue seriously and develop frameworks or laws and policies or other terms that can be able to be understood by the in layman's language by anyone who's using the platforms. At the same time, ensure that for those who cannot be able to read the information, we can be able to take it to them, make sure that everyone is aware of what is required of them. That is why this webinar is really, really important for everyone to get to understand what is required for them, and raising awareness for them and for others who cannot be able to access all this. So being an advocate for the same, and also ensuring that any time a conversation is driven for AI, you're on the know on what is happening, and being able to drive that conversation and not run away from it, because it's conversation that we can never run away from anymore. So getting to make sure that we are on the right track when it comes to what is being created and what it is that we are doing for ourselves and others, to make sure that it is protecting everyone. So thank you so much for this, and hopefully we're going to work for a safer community and a safer world through AI. What it's providing for us, and how we can be able to protect ourselves.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you so much, Philip.
Yes, thank you so much for involving me in this webinar. For me, I have two things to insist on. First is that we are glad to be, when I say we, I say Africa. Africa is glad to be involved in the fourth revolution. So we get closer again. We have this thing. We have this thing where we say technology is the fourth revolution, fourth industrial revolution, and we're glad to be part of it. So two things to keep track of. First is to Close the Gap provides affordable equipment to enable access to this digital world. Without access to the digital world, you're not able to learn about these issues being faced by AI, and you become more susceptible to fall for these scams because you have no prior knowledge of them. Second is to create an environment where our young generation is building towards positive change. So using AI towards creating meaningful solutions to issues we're facing in the society. I think when we focus on safeguarding ourselves and creating positive change, eventually we'll be able to balance it off and reduce the amount of insecurities available online. Thank you so much, and I'm glad to provide some insight.
Thank you so much, Philip. I think Kushnel is joining back. Marianne, give your final comments. Let me find Bushnell to give us his parting shot as well.
First of all, a great thanks to all our listeners who've been able to tune in and listen to us from Facebook, YouTube, and to you who you'll be listening the session after it has been recorded. We'll have this session in our social media platforms. Also, thank you so much to our panelists who have been able to avail themselves and been able to create such great insights. We advocate for general knowledge and sensitization on this matter. My parting shot here would be in this era of AI, let us prioritize digital literacy and proactive safety measures for yourself and your children, fostering critical thinking on online information and advocating for a safer and more privacy respecting internet. Thank you so much.
Okay, since I cannot find Bushnell, I'll just go ahead and give my final remarks. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've had a discussion, a 2-hour discussion on the complexities of AI and data privacy, to the practical steps that you can take to protect yourself. But the conversation should and will not end here. This is not just a spectating sport, it requires active participation. We pull each from each side, and we need to be informed, we need to stay vigilant, and we need to demand transparency and accountability from the companies and institutions that handle our data. The clock is ticking, especially on the digital privacy. The challenges we face are more real right now, and the stakes are really, really high. Remember that your data is likened to gold. We are not powerless. We should understand the risks and we should take proactive steps. And we should be aware, and that can make a difference. So do not wait until it is too late. Take control of the data, protect your privacy, and join the movement for a safer and a more ethical digital world. Thank you all for participating in our Online Safety Month webinar. We'll be hosting more and more. Thank you for being with us today, and thank you for joining us. We hope you leave here today feeling more informed, more empowered, and more committed to protecting your privacy in the age of AI. Thank you for being part of this.